Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I am your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host,
Gab.
and we have a very special guest, the other host, not that he should be known as the other host, but the second host, not that he should be known as the second host, the companion host from the Jump on the Bandwagon podcast, Brian Manili.
Wow, Dylan.
I brought it
really
home.
selling it there, Dylan. Thank you for that. Hi, everyone.
Brian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for watching Over the Garden Wall and giving me an excuse to talk more about it. I'm mildly obsessed.
I will say, you jump on the Batwagon, boys. Keep pulling your little tricks on us. James has us watching 2 movies. You got us doing a TV miniseries.
Honestly, that is true. Now, I want to talk briefly about the jump on the Batwagon because Dylan informed me a couple of minutes before you jumped on that you were not at all versed on this like Batman, Superman world of DC. And so I just want to say on behalf of people everywhere who also don't know what the hell is going on, thank you for representing us. And I know obviously as time goes on, you're learning more and more, but that, I'm made to feel like a real piece of shit on this podcast sometimes. And I just feel like you represent me very well. So thank you for that.
I'm so happy to be of service. Yeah, it's something that was it was a big blind spot between me and James's relationship or relationship. Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
Where that was his life, right? And that like became his career and everything. And for me, it was like, I watched X-Men growing up. That's cool. Batman, I know he exists. And
right.
It's been very great to be so like welcomed in the community. And I don't always feel ostracized. It happens every once in a while, But
okay. All right.
I'm not here to judge for you not being a DC fan or whatever.
I appreciate that. Now, if I may, how old are you?
At least 100.
In dog years, obviously.
What would I even be in dog years? I don't know. 200 in dog years, probably.
Yeah.
I like actually, or because there's a whole fan lore about
in the lore
age.
of the podcast. He is ancient for some reason.
Oh, that's so interesting. Well, I just wanted to know like how old you were that you escaped the superhero fandom, but I guess in reality, the superhero thing has been around forever. So I guess that you'd have to be 100 to have escaped it.
Yeah, I think it might have even been around for 100 years. I'm 39, and
okay.
It was never a big part. Like I liked Marvel, like I said before, and I had some comic books and I had some action figures and I had a lot of cards and I watched like the X-Men cartoons.
Yeah.
And that was my nerdy superhero-ness, but it was never a really big part of my life.
Yeah. So interesting, the things that we just can really grasp onto as like young people and, in our adolescence and stuff, and the things that we just let float on by.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, as the listener will soon hear, Gab was massively into Lindsay Lohan for a bit. Meanwhile,
yeah,
I gave almost 0 shits about Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. I loved
liked
her.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls is incredible. Everybody should love Mean Girls.
I think the only people who don't like Mean Girls by this point are people who just heard too much Mean Girls.
I get it. Yeah.
Like Giselle doesn't want to watch Mean Girls.
Did you see the trailer?
Anymore. Oh, for the Mean Girls
I feel the
musical?
same way. Yeah. So
No.
number one thing I want to say is that there are some movies that I feel like I watched so many times and love so much that now I like really want to watch it on like very rare occasions so that I don't get sick of it. So it kind of does continue to have that appeal. But yeah, they're making a Mean Girls movie of the musical that was on Broadway with a lot of the cast. Half of the cast is from the original movie, half of the cast is from the musical. And I feel like I'm intrigued, but also did not ask for this.
They did the exact same thing with Matilda, and I'm like, I'm sure it'll capture a small group of people, but I will not be one of those people.
Matilda is one of those things, went right over my head. Never seen it, know nothing about it.
Why the fuck haven't we done Matilda?
I don't know, but we've had this conversation like 3 times,
Brian,
so maybe you should start listening.
Something.
I also haven't seen Matilda, but I want to see the musical because I know that Tim Minchin did the music for it, and he's a musician I highly regard and respect.
I'm about to stop this episode and tell you both to go watch Matilda and meet me back here in like an hour and a half. This is some bullshit.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Matilda or Mean Girls, but we are here to talk about Over the Garden Wall, which was Brian's pick. So I was very shocked at the whole setup of this. So before we get into opinion time, we're going to talk about what this is about. But I think it's really important to discuss that Over the Garden Wall is not a movie, but it's also not really a television show.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Well, now I'm nervous and I'm not sure what I mean by that. But if I go back to being confident, I would say that it felt a little bit more like a mini episodic where it wasn't. So to me, a television show is a show that probably has a standard running time of 22 minutes an episode or something along those lines with commercial interruptions, but also is able to be watched sort of on shuffle. Like Dylan, I think we were talking about The Office recently and about how you can watch an episode on Comedy Central that is like totally random, or you can watch it as a series. And I think we've gotten into a place of these don't make a face at me, I'm still talking. These Netflix shows
Brian,
where they're
wipe
an
that look off
hour
your
long.
face.
Like the listeners
sorry.
can hear you being smug. We've got these Netflix shows where every episode is an hour, but those to me feel like almost like little movies where Over the Garden Wall was neither of those. So anyway, that's the end of this filibuster, and I dare you to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all, you're describing the difference between episodic and serialized storytelling. Is Breaking Bad not a television show?
Yeah.
But there are lots of shows that had a serialized story that you can't just pick one episode out of and it's going to make perfect sense. You're talking about The Simpsons,
Modern Family.
Modern Family. You're talking about sitcoms, basically.
Yeah. I'd like to start again.
You can start again.
Okay. I'd like to start again. And I'd like to say this was a very short television show.
Yes, this was a TV miniseries that aired all in 1 week on Cartoon Network from November 3rd to November 7th, 2014.
I didn't even know that, Dylan. Good job.
Wow. He's dusting off his hands, everyone. So anyway, what do we do now? Now that you've made me out to be some kind of piece of shit, Brian, you want to tell us what this is about?
I'm Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host, Real Piece of Shit. Brian, what is Over the Garden Wall about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
I'm gonna do this in the least jump on the bandwagon way possible. Over the Garden Wall is a story about two brothers who are trying to find their way home. Full
Love
stop.
it.
I feel like I've recently learned
Was
that
that
Gab
too
wants
short?
you to be short and concise. She wants the elevator pitch, not the plot synopsis. So
Yes.
let's see how Brian compared to the IMDb plot summary. Two brothers find themselves lost in a mysterious land and try to find their way home. He nailed it. He nailed it.
Amazing. That is honestly you're at the top of the podium for every episode we've ever had of What's It About.
Thank you.
I will say that's the
Wow.
closest
Can't do
besides the
this
time Giselle, I think, literally just looked it up beforehand and read it word for word to us. So that's a cheat.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
She got tested for steroids and she tested positive. Doesn't count.
Oh.
Yeah, amazing. Should we give a little bit more context?
Well, Gab, we have surprisingly, this TV show does have one tagline.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Does it
Tag me
actually?
up.
Mm-hmm. The tagline is, "Will you take a peek?
What?
Will
Okay, I
you
guess.
take a peek?
What?
Will you take a peek?
Will you take a peek?"
Will you take a peek?
Will you take a peek?
I like that.
Will you take a peek?
Oh, not several, just
Yeah.
Will you take a peek?
Will you take a peek?
I would
I
have
took
turned
a
this
class-
podcast off 7 times.
I know. I took a full class in college on single word emphasis.
Wow.
That's all we did.
Was
Will
it
you
either
called-
of
take a
you-
peek?
Have either
Was
of
it
you
Will
watched
you
The
take-
Sopranos?
Oh,
No.
Brian,
What?
you ever watched The Sopranos?
no.
Christopher is in acting class, and his whole acting class is just, you can have an entire conversation with A, B. And the guy goes up to Christopher and goes, A, and he punches him in the face.
Great conversation.
That's amazing.
All right. So now we can get more into what is Over the Garden Wall about.
Yes.
This time, more than just two brothers are lost.
Yeah.
So the brothers are Wirt and Greg. Do we know why his name is Wirt, or is it just a kooky name?
I think it's more or less just kooky name if you want. It's a name that appears. The first time I heard it, I was surprised. It's and here's my nerdum coming in. It's a name of a character in the original Diablo video game as well. It might just be a obscure name that's not just commonly used. I don't know.
Does Diablo have some basis in Dante's Inferno?
I mean, the whole game's plot is about going to hell and fighting the devil. So,
I think there might be some
metaphorically?
connection there. Yes.
Maybe.
A little bit.
Obviously, we should say spoilers. I feel like that sounds really weird. If you're tuning into this already and you've made it this far without having any clue what Over the Garden Wall is, you can go watch it on Hulu right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're in. If you're still listening right now, you're in. So let's keep talking about
Strap
it.
in.
I would say this feels very much like Grimm's fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe I kept getting the entire time.
Yeah, I think it's a fair vibe to get.
Yeah.
Well, can we give a little bit more of like a deeper plot synopsis for anybody who hasn't watched it, just so that people understand kind of what we're talking about? I mean, I could do my best, but I feel like Brian is probably the most well-versed.
That's true.
Okay.
Brian's probably watched it more than us.
Yeah.
So a more detailed, more spoilier kind of plot?
Spoil the hell out of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's keep it to a tight 5, but give us the basis.
I'll see if I can keep it to a tighter 3.
Perfect.
So the show opens up and you have some brothers that are walking through the woods. We have Greg, the little brother, just spouting off the names that would be good/bad names for a frog. And then Wirt kind of comes to attention and says, "Hey, wait, what are we doing here?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just trying to get home." And you can see that something's just not quite landed. The boys then make it their mission to, find their way home, find some answers, find out why they're there. They're in a fanciful world with beasts in the woods and talking birds and singing frogs and singing skeletons wearing gourds in fanciful towns. And if you didn't catch it, the whole show is kind of arguably about being in limbo or being in the afterlife and being some kind of like floaty other world. I don't quite know how to explain it. Do we need more of a description than that, or should I just cut it there?
I thought that was fine. Gab, I feel
Hey,
like it's
that's
like,
great.
tell me more. I still don't understand. that's little Gab's face is telling me.
I'm like, no, I Googled a couple of things about this. So I kind of get it. I think that's good. I think that's all we really need to get into right now.
Okay.
Are we ready to start opinion time?
Let's start spouting some opinions. Brian's ready for it. He's nodding. No, he's shaking.
Oh yeah, I'm so ready for opinions.
Okay, he's ready. We're
All
doing
right,
it.
hate
here
this
we
show.
go.
In this critic's opinion,
that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
It's bad.
Brian, tell us why you hate Over the Garden Wall. I would kind of respect it if somebody was like, pick something and then was like, now I can come and tell you why it's terrible.
I would have full fandom spoiler here. I would be in a very bad way to say that I hated this show. I literally have it tattooed on my body.
Let me see. Wow. What? So
It's a
Oh
tattoo
my
of Wirt and Greg.
God.
Are they?
and the frog,
and
and Bernice. Beatrice.
God damn you, Bernice.
It's so cute.
Are they wrapped in the tree? The Edelwood?
The Edelwood, yeah, they're kind of like coming through it.
Okay.
The way that the artist kind of mocked it up, I have it as like Wirt's trying to like show the way through the woods, and Greg is going off being himself. Hauling Mr. President the Frog in tow, and
You mean
Beatrice
Jason
is just hanging
Funderburker.
out. Jason
I like-
Funderburker.
I like Dr. Cucumber.
Paging Dr. Cucumber.
Honestly,
So we should.
I could have heard that kid say anything as Greg, and I was here for it. I was like, this kid's voice is so fucking adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should say for anybody listening, Greg, the younger brother, finds a frog in the woods. Or he really wants to go frog hunting. You learn at one point, and he captures a frog and just continues to change the name. His name is different every time we talk about him. He is everything from Wirt, which is the name of his older brother, to Greg Jr., to Mr. George Washington, to Dr. Cucumber. There's just hundreds of names, and each one is funnier than the last.
Yeah, and it makes this really interesting. As fans of the show, it's really hard to remember what to call the frog. Like everyone's like, you got the like Dr. Cucumber, like awesome. I tend to go for the like, the president end of things because I love that line of like the president's got cold feet.
Yeah.
And so
He's
that
supposed to have
sticks with
cold
me.
feet. He's a frog.
Yeah, right. Look, you're quoting it already, Dylan. I'm so proud of you.
I was listening. I was there.
Good job.
Yeah.
My favorite name
So-
was Jason Funderburker, though. That or Wirt, because I do love the confusion of, let me just give him the same name as an actual person.
Yeah. The only other person I'm currently with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of don't want to get into my opinion yet, but I do want to talk a little bit more about like why you love it. So you've mentioned already that it's sort of like an allegory for purgatory. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't like totally get or see that. To me, I think it was a little bit more about like the difference between hope and despair. Which we can talk about in a little bit, but like, can you tell me, or tell us rather, all of us, the royal us, what it is about this that like you love so much that not only did you come on this podcast to talk about it, but you tattooed it on your butt? Like, please, I want to know more.
So for me, and something that I say on the other podcast an awful lot, is how like things with heart is kind of what tends to stick with me. And this, I think it's like, I love the art. I better love the art. I love the storytelling. I love the creativity of it. And it's also like this, the first time I saw the show, like I was legitimately like choked up and crying at the end. Yeah, I think there's so many layers to it that even like the first watch through, you're going to be like, cool, that was the show. And within the first minute of watching the show a second time, if you give another watch through, you'll realize that there's spoilers in the first couple minutes of the show that give away the whole show, and you don't know. And there's just all these little things that you can pick up. And it's deep. It's deep for what could / might be labeled as a kids show. I'm not sure if it really is a kids show. I don't know if I'd agree with it being a kids show. Kids could watch it, but I think as adults you can get a lot more out of the story and all the different like forms of artistic expression that everybody put into it.
Yeah.
I talked to two friends of mine, shout out Steve and Michelle, who are big fans of Over the Garden Wall. Like they were like, you got to call me after you watch it. You gotta let me know what you think. And Michelle is a teacher, and she was like, oh, I'm using it in class to teach about things. And I was like shocked before having watched it of like, really, for the cartoon miniseries? And having watched it, I'm like, I totally get it, because this is one of those things where it could be like, all right, and in episode 1, what did this character represent? You know what I mean? Or tell me about the journey of Beatrice. Where does she start? Where does she end up? And I'm like, yeah, I totally see that, because it really is very depthful. And it's one of those things that's so depthful. Yes, that it's like, I probably could have watched this twice and still not gotten a lot of it. You know what I mean? Because there are things that if I went back the second time and watched, because that's what my friend said, shout out Steve. Steve specifically went, you got to watch it twice before you do it. And I was like, well, I'll try, but I don't know. I was like, well, I only have so much time, Steve. But
yeah,
I will say, having watched it the one time, I kept taking notes, and I was like, I'm definitely missing a lot of things. And each time I was taking notes, I was like looking up, like, am I missing something as I'm taking this note? Am I missing something right now?
Probably.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly how I felt, Dill. I was like, I'm trying really hard to like write things down and remember things. And I kept thinking like, I guess I could do this at the end. And eventually I was like, the best thing I can do is just put my phone down, and watch and just like be present. And I do think that there are definitely some things that I missed, and there are definitely some thoughts I had that are gone now. But I really felt the whole time a little bit lost until we had the flashback. And the flashback was like,
episode.
yeah, well, yeah, because
But
it was a little
is
bit
that
like,
exactly how you're supposed to feel, though? I would say.
yeah, I would think.
I mean, I'd say it's open to interpretation, right? Like you can take it at face value and just be like, oh, these people are in a world. But then like the thing for me, that was my first like, little nagging voice in the back of my head that there was something more going on. Cause Kimmy was the one that introduced me to it. And she's like, you have to watch this show. The thing for me was that they were trying to, it was like episode 4, I think, where they're trying to get the 2 pennies to ride the ferry. And I'm like, this is the whole like crossing the river Styx, like the 2 coins on the dead person's eyes thing. I'm like, there's more to this than I was aware at first watch. And so I think it is like, it's something that the more, the more you watch it, the more you're going to catch, the more you're going to find your own interpretations. And I think things that you latch on to specifically.
Yeah.
I will also say very well, yeah, but I'm not sure what you're about to say. So hopefully maybe we're about to say something similar. Very creepy to me as a children's cartoon.
Oh,
No?
I didn't think it was creepy. Is
You
that
weren't
bad?
creeped out by Lorna or Auntie Whispers? Because that whole episode, I was like, the fuck did I want? What the fuck is this shit?
I was bought in at that point, though. And also, I was expecting it to be much more scary, but neither one of them like really did anything wrong. I mean, obviously, Lorna, like, you're like, uh-oh, but Auntie Whispers was like nice. I was like, oh, you can't judge people. You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of the message that I got, was like, oh, they're scary looking, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad.
I mean, you get that same thing with Beatrice, though, right? Like at the very start, you're like, oh, here, she's gonna like help the boys out. Like, that's great. And then it turns out that she was like very much trying to lead them to their death, or doom at least.
Yeah. But by the time you find that, you're like, oh, she regrets it. She loves them. She wants to help them.
Right. Yeah,
It felt relatively uplifting to me.
I do like that Gab basically just in a more smart way said Greg's line of, oh, for some reason I thought that old lady was the people eater all along. I guess it just goes to show stuff.
That's exactly how I felt. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's it. And I love it. That's exactly, just goes to show stuff. I was like, yeah, it does. It really does. I think for me, these are just 2 kids in a fantasy world, like that, like before you understand via the flashback that these are like regular kids in our universe who have stumbled into something that they're unfamiliar with. I was sort of like this doesn't always really do it for me, this like fantasy thing. And I was like, I was waiting for it to become like this weird adult, like creepy, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like, well, the pumpkins or, whatever. But I was like, oh, this isn't becoming like a weird, creepy, like, oh, I'm trying to like, I always go back to, and I don't mean this literally, so please don't take it that way, but I always kind of go back to like Ren and Stimpy, where it's like a cartoon, but it's like highly disturbing, cause you know what I mean? And it wasn't like that at all. So I was like, all right, I don't love this whole like fantasy thing, but like I can get behind it. But then when I realized that it was rooted in our reality, I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. Like, this is great.
Awesome.
This is so shocking to hear because with Gab, you're always immediately behind the 8 ball when you suggest animation. So I'm like, good luck. But I was very much into it once I saw also some of the voice cast that was in it.
The cast is unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like, you've got Elijah Wood, you've got Melanie Linsky, you've got Christopher Lloyd, Tim Curry, John Cleese. I feel like I'm forgetting people.
I mean, everybody you know is on there. You just don't necessarily know it. I even had to pull up the cast. I'm like, oh, I forgot. And like, you get like Sam Raimi as the Beast, which is freaking amazing. Like, if you're into
I did not realize that. I don't think I had that written down.
Oh, yeah. Like, go browse. Like, I mean, Thomas Lennon even is like,
Jimmy
such a small bit
trapped in the gorilla suit.
No good, Jimmy Brown.
So funny. I did Tim Curry doesn't sound great, huh?
Well, this is after he had a major stroke in 2012.
Oh.
But he still does voice
Oh.
acting, and I think that they felt that he worked for the role, which he totally does, because he's supposed to sound slower and paced in such a specific way, and I think it works.
Yeah.
Because,
I didn't-
quite frankly, Auntie Whispers creeped the fuck out of me.
I was like, what a nice lady.
I know. I'm like, you can't judge a book by its cover. I'm like, first of all, you can when it's a creepy turtle-eating black-toothed lady. Like, I was like, nope, don't trust her.
Yeah,
I know.
that's fair.
That's one of those characters that I still like with all my rewatches. I'm just like, I don't quite feel like I even have her pegged down because she's just written so strangely.
Yeah.
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 Also,
totally.
It does feel like these stories feel very separate. Like, that's why it feels very Grimm's Fairy Tale to me. It feels like they're escorting you to learn these morals as they go on their journey in each new story, sort of. But at the same time, you keep finding out that things are connected and you don't even realize it. Like the fact that Auntie Whispers is connected to Adelaide, or,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Quincy Endicott I'm thinking of, and I'm like, but I don't, well, we already said spoilers. Quincy Endicott being connected in episode 9 to certain things.
I'm glad you saw the tombstone.
Yes.
I love that.
When they're
in the graveyard hiding, like looking at the kids drinking, age appropriate beverages or whatever. Wirt and Greg are hiding behind two headstones, one of which says Quincy Endicott on it.
Wow.
It's
I
like
didn't notice
half
that.
covered, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even did you notice that the mill from the first episode is Beatrice's family's home?
I didn't notice it upon watching it. I only realized it once I was like doing my research afterwards, and I was like, wow. And also that the beast that attacks them in episode 1 is Beatrice's dog.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some-
There's also
Yeah.
bluebird stuff all over that house if you look at it.
Yeah. I also saw something pointing out that the dog's eyes, when it's infected by the turtle, because we found out that the dog ate the turtle. What's up with these turtles? But I digress. We find out that the beast at some point, I think in episode 10, when it's really threatened and really trying to be aggressive, its eyes turn into the same type of thing as the dog's eyes were at the beginning. And I'm like, so is the beast something that's infected by whatever dark magic that is, or does that mean more? Is the beast the source of that? That's why I'm very much like, I get that you can pretty much pick any episode or any character and be like, well, we can just discuss that.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like with all my watch throughs and research and stuff, there's still things that I don't know the answers to. Like you brought up the turtles. I'm like, I have speculations of what the turtles are about, but I don't know what the turtles are. In the same way that the beast is like some kind of bad entity, the whole eye thing is definitely like some kind of link. Or did the beast come, or the turtles come directly from the beast? Like who really knows?
I saw a fan theory that the beast is actually the woodsman's daughter, having been infected with the magic of the turtles, and that once the lantern is put out, because the lantern comes from oil that comes from turtles and edelwood trees, that the daughter can return to normal or something like that. And I was like, maybe. I don't know.
I haven't heard that theory. That's interesting. I feel like I'm a little skeptical about it, but I mean, it could be. Stranger things have happened in this show.
Yeah.
Speaking of the beast, did either of you look up or like freeze frame when they shine the light on the beast?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't, Gab?
Yeah.
Well, it's freaky as fuck. It's another like real creepy thing. Brian, you know what I'm talking about here? It's like sort of
I
a
almost
tree.
got it tattooed on me.
Don't get that tattooed on you.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, just look up like the beast freeze frame or something like that. I'm sure you can find it real easy.
Yeah, it's like these horrible faces. It looks, I guess it's the lost souls of the people that have been killed on it.
That's
freaky.
what I'm guessing.
Also another thing I feel like I found so much more upon research that in Quincy Endicott's house there is a painting of the beast.
What?
There's a painting.
I haven't noticed this.
Again, is it something that I would have just noticed on my own? No, but it's one of these things that I found like a Tumblr where it's like, oh look, there's the beast in a painting in Quincy Endicott's house, and I was like, oh, I guess it is.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
I think that's a very interesting thing. Just the little
Dylan,
things.
why don't you talk a little bit about how you felt about it? Like, we've covered a lot of like the cool things. Like, why don't you like how did it hit you?
I think upon just having watched it, just at surface level, not thinking very deeply about it, I enjoyed it because I was happy to see them get out by the end. Obviously we're spoiling things by this point, but I I wasn't in immediately because I'm not a big fantasy person. Um, I wasn't really sure what I was walking into, and as we got through it, there were things that I really liked and things that I was like, what is this? What's happening here? Because it would sometimes feel like we just took detours into other things. I was like, why are we at a school for animals? Like, I was like, what's happening now? Does this mean something? Like, I was like, should I write this down? Yeah. You know what I mean? But I will say, no matter what, by the time we got there, I had enjoyed the journey. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think what's a nice thing is, and it's funny, it goes back to, we were talking about Alien and Aliens with James. I remember seeing Prometheus in the theater, and I discussed on this podcast that I researched it for like 2 days trying to make sense of that movie. And I was like, no, it's just fucking stupid. And I've just been wasting this time. And then I feel like with this show, I was like looking things up afterwards for the podcast. And I was like, wow, it's really cool that the more I find out about this show, the more depth there is to it that I just didn't realize was even there. And
yeah,
it makes it more enjoyable to know these things, but I had enjoyed it without knowing any of this stuff anyway. It was like the opposite of Prometheus. Which is the best review I can give something.
That's a very high compliment.
I
It felt like it
appreciate
rewarded
that.
me. Yeah.
Because it is like, I think it's something that you can watch. You could half watch the show and get through it and be like, oh, like, cool, that was a cool show, and there's some stuff I didn't know, and oh, that was creepy, or that was funny, and then kind of like put it down and be done with it. But like your friend Steve, I think you said his name was.
Yeah.
It definitely rewards rewatching, and especially in the fall, like, next year when the leaves start turning, like, rewatch this show. It's great.
Yeah,
but I kept hearing people say that specifically too, that it's like, you gotta watch it in the fall. I'm like, do I have to have like a pumpkin spice thing while I watch this? Like, does it change it?
It does. We actually, the last watch through that I did, the most recent one, was about a month or so ago, and we had a bunch of people like bundle up and bring like, age appropriate beverages, and we screened it on the lawn and just like hung out in like blankets and chairs and stuff and like watched it on the big screen. And I don't know, there is something, especially that bit at the end when they're in like the winter scene and everyone's freezing, and now we're like almost 2 hours in and we're all freezing, like, oh, this is so good.
That's
Extra
awesome.
immersion.
Yeah, I like that.
I do feel like if there's somebody else's opinions I have to hear more of, it's yours, Gab, because I feel like you're sort of tiptoeing the line, and I'm like, it sounds like she liked it, but I also know Gab hates animation. Like, Brian, if you
Rip
asked
off
me
the Band-Aid, Gab, let's hear it.
Yeah, if Brian asked me like, what's something Gab wouldn't like, I'd be like, ooh, let's try Over the Garden Wall or Batman Mask of the Phantasm again. Like,
oh my God. All right. Well, I want to start by saying that I was really not happy. Like, I was like, because the thing is, you put on a movie and you sit down and you're like, all right, I just got to get through this movie. But for a 10 episode or 9 episode, whatever it is, I think it's 10, like 11 minutes at a time. It's like, it's just so tempting to be like, all right, well, I watched 3. Let me go like do something else. But the thing that I was afraid of was not remembering or not being able to like piece things together. Like, it felt very much like I needed to watch it all at once so that I was invested in the story and not kind of missing things. And that just felt like 9 little moments of temptation for me to stop watching. And I was like, oh my God. I was also like, this is a podcast about movies. Like, this isn't even a movie. Like, are we even going to be able to talk about it as like an overall plot, or is it going to be like random? And then I was like, and it's a fucking cartoon. And not only is it a cartoon, but it's from Cartoon Network. I'm like, what is this going to be? Like the Courage the Cowardly Dog? Like, I'm over it.
Pump your brakes, Gab, before you say something about Courage the Cowardly Dog you can't take back.
I know you love Courage. I know, but like, Jesus Christ, I was just like, God, this is just not for me. And it's funny because Corey and I were talking. We don't do anything on Sundays. On Sundays, we like stay in the house all day. And we were talking.
Yes,
exactly. I'm like, don't even think about me. I'm on the couch. in my uniform. But I was like, I said something about I had to watch this or whatever. And he was like, oh God, you gotta watch. And I was like, you know what? Well, you don't have to watch it with me. And he was like, fine, I won't. And like, whatever. And it was just like, we were both clearly not interested in watching this. And it was like a thing on the to-do list that was ruining our free day. God. So finally we were watching 90 Day Fiance and we got bagels and, you know, whatever. And finally it was like, all right, should we turn this shit on and just get this over with so that we can move on with our lives? And it was like, all right, fine. So then I go to turn it on and I don't have Hulu anymore. We had his best friend's Hulu account. I don't know what happened. They're still friends, but I don't have Hulu. I was like, this is ridiculous. So Dylan had to give me the Hulu login. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Because the other option was to pay $10 for it. And I was like, I don't want this thing living in my hard drive that it thinks I care about this. Like, no, I'm not paying $10 for this. Fuck it. So Dylan gave me the Hulu. Corey just opened the door. It gave me a heart attack. And I was like, fuck it. We're going to hype it. We're going to watch this. So we turn it on and immediately I see the way Wirt is dressed and Greg is cute, but he's got a teapot on his head. And I'm like, God damn it. This is going to be terrible. And I'm like, all right, it's 11 minutes at a time. Like just small chunks. I'm just going to get through this. It's going to be fine. That's really how I'm feeling. And like occasionally I would go to open my phone and I was like, put the phone down, like just be here, just watch it, just be in the moment. And that's how it started. So I'm watching and I'm doing my best to pay attention and I understand that the episodes are not really connected. So I'm like, okay, now we're in a new part of town, I guess. This is also strange. And I'm kind of waiting for it to get creepy. It doesn't really get creepy. And the one thing that's really keeping me is Greg. Because first of all, everything he says is hilarious. But second of all, I'm like, there's something so sweet and innocent about this little boy who is just not a care in the world. He's just happy to be here. And the more it goes on, the more you see that he's really just happy to be with his brother. And I just think it's very sweet. And you can tell that the older brother is annoyed with him and he's messing things up or he's just being, you know, a little too charismatic. But it was just tugging at my heartstrings in a way that I was like, you know, let's just do one more. Like, let's do one more. Let's go again. And I really think that there were moments that were funny that kept me engaged and some moments where I was like expecting it to go away. I wasn't going to enjoy like the anti-whispers thing where I was like, oh, this is going to become I haven't watched this as an adult, so I can't really say for sure. Sally, cover your ears because I'm going to talk about your namesake, but I don't think I would enjoy The Nightmare Before Christmas because the Tim Burton creepy, it just doesn't do it for me. I'm not like a horror movie person. I don't love that, but it never quite went that way. And it was always kind of wholesome and heartwarming in a way that I was like, I'm into this. Let's do it again. And like I said to you earlier, when the flashback happened and they are modern and it is Halloween and that's why they're dressed like this and Wirt has a crush on a girl and, you know, you then find out that Greg is his stepbrother and he has this idea that the stepbrother and the stepfather have ruined his life and it's so clear that Greg just wants him to love him. I was just like, oh my God, I love this. And it was so sweet and it was so good. And by the time it ended, I feel like every moment after it ended, we just kept looking at each other like that was so good. Like it's sort of the more we marinated in it, the more it was like, oh my God, that was so sweet. And there were parts of me that were like, you know, I have a little brother who is 14 years younger than me. And I immediately texted him and was like, I love you. Like, I just want you to know I love you. And he probably thought I was crazy. And there was part of me that was like, I want to have a little boy. Like, I just want like a little baby. And it was so sweet. And I really do think that for me, that's what made it come down to this, like the sort of differentiation between choosing joy and hope and having that like sunny disposition and always seeing the bright side versus sort of being a little bit more negative and kind of wallowing and always seeing the downside. And I saw Wirt's journey to deciding to see the bright side. And it just really spoke to me. And I don't know if that's just like a personal thing at the moment or what, but it was such a wake up call to like go on life's journey and just be present and enjoy it and not really let all of the craziness sort of pull you into this like pit of despair, which is easy to fall into when things don't seem to be going your way. But yeah, I loved it.
Brian, I know Gab won't get this reference, but I hope you will. I feel like I just watched Rocky take down Ivan Drago in Rocky 4. Like I could hear Adrian in the background going, "You're gonna do it!" Like I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!"
I know. I don't think I hate animation. I just think I hate things that aren't like deeply rooted in reality. Maybe does that track?
I thought you were gonna say superheroes or Batman there, and I was like, you can see the moment Toad's heart breaks.
No. We're still unsure about that. But
I think what I like about Wirt is that it's all about. Obviously, I love Greg.
Yeah,
Greg's fucking adorable. Like, you know what's another moment that like I already like Greg, and I was like, lock him in. It's in the flashback when he says to Wirt, he goes, "And you wanted me to join the marching band?" And he goes, "Yeah, that way you'd be closer to Sarah." And I'm like, this little boy clearly just wants the best for his older brother, and his older brother's just like, "No, I'm lame and you're lame, and we can't keep doing this to ourselves." And there's a moment where you realize that it's just Wirt, like Wirt's self-confidence. It's not that Wirt is a loser, it's that he thinks he's a loser. Yeah. Because he goes up to those people and they're all just like, "Hey, Wirt." Like nobody's like, "Oh, it's Wirt." Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it is Gavin. I'm really happy to hear about your sort of like interpretation, like you're in seeing yourself within the movie or within the show or whatever you want to call it. The series, Dylan, the series that we're going with.
Sure.
But I think it's brilliant, and that's honestly I'm so happy with the tattoo that I have for that very reason, that I tend to be more of the Wirt, right? Like I tend to just like, oh, I'm down about this, and like, man, everybody hates me and I'm garbage and I'm useless and this, that, the other. And like, I literally, if I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt, Greg is like peering out at me. And so it's kind of this like, oh man, like it's this constant. And I hate when people are like, "Oh, I got this tattoo because it tells me remember to be awesome," or whatever. Like I hate that sort of thing. But for me, it is this little like, Greg's just kind of always there. And I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy, I get it. I remember now.
Oh, I love that. It's so sweet. Yeah. I mean, I think, and it's funny too, because I've just had like a really rough couple of weeks, just typical things, like nothing major, just life, when it rains, it pours. And I've just been in this downward spiral of like, everything is bad and I can't catch a break and all this stuff. And it was like, Greg, it was just so sweet. And he was just like, yep, he's just here for the ride. And if it goes well, it goes well. And if not, it's all right. And, every episode was a new episode, and every frog, every moment the frog had a new name, and he was just vibing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm such a piece of shit. And like, not in a Wirt way, in like it's just not that deep. It's just not that serious, and I love it. And I feel like there's some message here about allowing your circumstance to either make you like what's the phrase I'm looking for? I don't want to say rough around the edges, but like to sort of jade you, or to just like kind of continue about your business and not pay any mind to what other people are doing, or what the outcome might be. Because if you're just enjoying where you're at, no matter what, then nothing can really be taken away from you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So explain to me how you think this is about purgatory, because I'm so confused.
Oh, I think it's like, Brian, I'm going to let you go off in a second, but I am so shocked when you were like, how could this be about purgatory? Because to me, it feels like when we were talking about Bones and all, and she was like, well, obviously it's a metaphor for homosexuality. And I was like, it is? And I'm like, oh, how did I not see that? But
yeah.
everything about this is about limbo, wouldn't you say?
I would say, yeah. Yeah. So for me, like the things that, and like some spoilers for your next watch through, when you have Jack Dorsey, whoever it is doing the narration, I think it's Jack Dorsey.
Jack Jones, I think it is.
Jack Jones. I'm
Isn't
sorry,
Jack Dorsey the name of the guy from the Titanic? Isn't that Leo's character's name in the Titanic?
Is
I have
it?
no idea. Tommy
think it
Dorsey
might
was
be.
the name of Frank Sinatra's band manager.
And that's what I was
Okay,
trying not
Dylan.
to say. Whatever it is. At the very beginning, like, you're getting flashes of the boys like about to die. So like in episode 9, when they're like jumping out of the way of the train and like tumbling down into this like icy water, there's these literal flashes of them like starting to drown, like these 2 like limp bodies just like sinking through the water. There's man, I don't know, like how deep am I going on this? So many of those things are, we talked about like the river Styx. The beast seems to be like trying to claim souls himself, and I don't know if this is like, if the beast sends people to hell. I don't know if Greg's dream, that weird like
The Cloud
old
City?
Looney Tunes style dream, like if that's like a heaven kind of thing, because he comes out of his body again and he meets with that like angel, like grants him the wish kind of thing, and he's all selfless and is like, no, like work can keep going. I'm gonna like go hang out with the beast and probably like die or whatever. There's a lot of metaphorical stuff that's them existing in some world, and like the woodsman even, or the woodsman.
I think
Woodsman, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like
James
Wizard
Woodsman.
of Ozzy in my head.
Yes, the James Woodsman.
Yes.
That's one of the first things he says to the boys as well, is like, you're more lost than you're aware of, or you're more lost than you realize. And I think that's literally like, because they're just suddenly in these woods. Like, they didn't go into these woods. They're trying to find their way. All the people in Pottsfield saying like, you don't look like you're ready to be here yet. These are people who are like, these are like the dead people existing in this realm. And it's like, wait, who are these kids? They're not skeletons. They're not like, they don't really belong here. And so I think it's more, it's less of a journey of like, oh, what's the right path to take home, and more of, they're in a different realm of existence. And the one thing that really, really catches me and kind of ties it together and makes it a little more confusing is when they come back at the very end of the hospital room scene. I don't know if you noticed, but like Greg's dancing with the frog and his belly lights up. So like he's brought the bell,
The ringing
back
of
to
the
our
bell.
existence somehow. Yeah, the ringing of the bell commands you. And that I don't really know, but it's one of those, like, if you got a spare 20 minutes, just like start Googling, fan theories and stuff that people have written. And it's kind of like, it is a little bit wishy-washy. And I think a lot of it is still open to the interpretation of the viewer and what they want to get out of it and what kind of theories they have. But yeah. It's certainly deeper than just the face value that it looks like at first.
Wow. Yeah.
I think part of me thought it was all a dream at one point, and then I did see the frog's stomach start to glow, and you could hear a bell ringing as he's shaking him, and I'm like,
yeah,
well, I guess it's not supposed to be that then.
Right. Like it's not, and that was the thing, like they're also sharing this.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was the big thing for me again. I keep leaning into the whole like 2 pennies thing in a big way. But yeah, I don't know. I adore that. I adore that you can have these conversations about a, like, air quotes, kids show of like, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? What is does the T mean anything? Can we talk about Fred the horse? Like, what is going on here? But yeah, I absolutely love the depth of it. But Dylan, I'm also interested in hearing your thoughts.
Well, I could clearly tell that there was, limbo, purgatory related stuff going on, but I don't feel like I wish I had listened to Steve. I wish I'd watched it sooner. I had more time to watch it again. Because as I was researching, and I'm seeing so much about, well, if you look in the very beginning, they're showing this. And if it's Halloween, that's why Greg has candy in his pants.
Oh
and
my God. Yeah.
There's so many things that I was like, wow, obviously this would be very rewarding to rewatch.
Oh yeah, like the whole like intro scene as well. Like you're seeing like Beatrice and her dog, but Beatrice as a human.
Yes.
I mean, there's just like there's so much to this show that
You
they
could
just
also,
kind of like floated in there.
Yeah, you could also just rewatch the first 4 or 5 episodes just to watch Beatrice, because you don't realize that she is betraying them the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which that is one of the, like, did I find it hilarious, the show? No, I found it adorable because of Greg.
Yeah.
But one moment that did make me laugh is when Wirt is being taken care of after he's fallen in the frozen lake, and he is with Beatrice's family, and Beatrice's mom going, "Oh, good, you're awake. Eat some dirt." Just like shoving dirt in his mouth.
Yes.
And I, like, it did make me laugh. I was very worried for Greg at the moment, and I still was laughing at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very surface understanding of, clearly this is them being between dying and living. And every time Wirt would talk about staying in Pottsfield, or I'm just going to stay under this tree or something, it was like very clearly, well, are they dying or are they living? You know what I mean? And that's why it made sense to me that it was Greg, who is the innocent one, is the one who he's going to be harder to stop. You know what I mean? And that's why Wirt is the one who's our sort of main character, because he's on that journey of self-determination. And that's why I do like the fact that at the end, he hasn't really beat the beast. He just realizes, like, you're not my problem. I don't need to do any of this. Like, the beast presents him with, your brother will die or you will carry the lantern. Those are your choices. And he goes, no, they're not. I'm going to walk away. You are nothing. You know what I mean? And I think that was a very cool moment. And then I love that it's the woodsman who ultimately gets that choice and realization of, oh my God, look how much power I've given you.
Yes.
God, that's the thing that, like, always gets me too, is like the woodsman and like Christopher Lloyd. God, he's just so freaking good.
So good.
And his voice, like, I'm one of those people as well that, like, I can appreciate a good voice actor, but his role is one of the biggest selling points for me in this show as well. And hearing his just even expressions of that dawning of, like, oh, I thought this was my daughter's soul in the lantern. It was yours the whole time. She's been dead forever. Like, now what am I going to do? And then when he's reunited with his daughter at the end, oh my God. But yeah, it's just the whole show, I think, has that kind of weight to it. And it does take, like, oh my God, I do hope that you guys want to rewatch it at some point in time.
Oh my God,
I think you'll get more out of it.
Yeah.
Still.
Can we talk about the woodsman also has a really good Chris Rock-esque moment when he's like, keep my daughter's name out your fucking mouth, beast.
Yes. Yeah.
Woodsman did it first.
Yeah.
I think the best moment for me with the woodsman was when he realized that his daughter wouldn't have wanted him to have spent his whole life trying to just keep this light on. Like, you know what I mean? And that to me was like, oh.
Yep.
I will say there was one total mistake I had at the end, because when the woodsman sees the girl coming at the door, I very much thought for a moment that the woodsman's daughter was Lorna, which
okay.
It's definitely not, now that I've, like, seen things, but in that moment it made so much sense to me, and I was like, oh, that's a cool connection. And then I was like, no, it's not. I was wrong.
It did confuse me when the daughter came back. I was like, oh, so he just didn't know she was there. You know what I mean?
That's a big question that I've had in, like, damn near debate with my friends as well who have seen this. It's like, what was she there the whole time and he just didn't know it, or was there something that led her to being actually gone?
Was she there the whole time?
Yeah.
Was she released when the beast was defeated? Was she the beast? You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I didn't see that theory. You know what I mean?
She's got such a good baritone.
Who does?
The daughter.
She does? I don't know.
If she was the beast.
Oh.
Never mind, Dylan. It was hilarious in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember her sounding
means.
Like I'm like, what? No, and then you also, could it just be oh my God, what was I gonna say? I was right there. Everyone pretend like I'm saying something smart right now, because it's about to come to me.
Yes, of course.
I got it. Shut up. Or was it the beast corrupting the woodsman so that he didn't return home because he thought that there was nothing to go home to?
Yes.
That's kind of what I've landed on in my head, because, like, he goes to the mill, like that wood, what Beatrice's family's house, and that's where he's doing his whole operations. And otherwise he's just kind of meandering through the woods, gathering the Edelwood trees to grind up people's souls and turn them into oil to, like, then feed the beast's soul. Again, little wishy-washy. I'm not certain, but it's, I don't know.
Well, that's why it's one of those things that I can very quickly hate something if on a textual level it doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what works about this is the fact that at the end of the day, this is very folksy fairy tale-esque. So it's like, well, it doesn't all have to make sense. You got a bird
Yeah.
here that's singing. You know what I mean? If I'm like, well, what does the oil feeding the lantern, how does that work precisely? You know what I mean? I'm like, no, it doesn't matter that much. And it is the fact that you can have several interpretations of it that makes it more interesting. You know what I mean? I think if
that's
the
where
Yeah.
I think it. Sorry, that's where I think it comes down to everyone's own interpretations. I think people will always have the things about them, much like what you were talking about, that like the things that speak to you about this show and like how you connect to what characters and what certain things mean to you. And I think like whatever your and this is sounding so hokey, I'm so sorry. But like whatever battles, whatever struggles you're going through, whatever things that like you don't like about yourself or things you like about yourself, like I think there's so much to grab onto that you'll find something that will really speak to you about it.
Yeah, I agree.
You two little Gregs are adorable with your quote from this show.
It's
Like,
Also,
so
my God, we
good.
haven't talked at all about the music.
I don't feel qualified to speak on the music.
Me neither.
Like there's clearly so many references to such old-timey music that is before my understanding. And it was all very good and very well done. Some of it was like I wasn't jiving with, but you know what song was stuck in my head all day today?
What's that?
Potatoes and molasses. And that's all I know. So I just kept singing that in my head and I was like, God damn it. I don't
Yeah.
know anything. So I just kept hearing potatoes and molasses. Like I was like, nope.
That's where it starts. The band that did all the music and the composing used to be called the Petrojevic Blasting Company. They've got one album like on Spotify, which is of this kind of era and sound. Now I think they're just doing like composing for, different projects under the name just the Blasting Company. But yeah, they've got that old timey kind of vibe and God, I don't know. I love it. I was obsessed with the Petrojevic Blasting Company before I saw this show, and then I found out they did the music. I was even more obsessed.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's also the most niche thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It does feel very Merry Melodies, Silly Symphonies, or whatever those old Looney Tunes would be called, where it's just set to like some very old school song. That's what.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all kind of like Dust Bowl era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of almost klezmer band style. I think it works really well.
I could
I
easily see
agree.
like Steamboat Willie set to potatoes and molasses.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Dylan, I think we should start to get to some facts.
I want the truth!
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
I do have a pretty good amount of facts for Over the Garden Wall. At first, I thought it would be tough to find facts, but it turns out there is a rabid fan base for this. So I found more facts as I went along. Yes.
All right, let's do
We're
it.
talking about you, Brian. Brian kept texting me updates about the show. I was like, stop, I'm trying to sleep. It's 4 a.m. Like, wait, I gotta tell you this. Let's start with some ratings. IMDb gives this an 8.8 out of 10. On the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, it has 93%, an average rating of 8.6 out of 10, 14 fresh reviews, 1 rotten. Just that one dickhead.
Damn.
There's always one.
It was me. The audience score gave it a 98% with an average score of 4.7 out of 5. I have the little budget, the budget and box office section that I do for movies, and I still had the numbers from our last movie, and I was like, that can't be right. This didn't gross $160 million. But I wrote a big NA next to it. All of this to say, I shouldn't have said any of that stuff. The critics' consensus: Over the Garden Wall's modern sensibilities mix well with its fairy tale setting, creating a whimsically witty series for viewers of all ages. A couple of reviews. Brian Lowry from Variety: the miniseries thus feels like an admirable experiment, but a bit of a tweener, one that lacks the heft to sustain the 5-night commitment.
Wait, what's a tweener? Because that has a different New England connotation, as we were talking about earlier.
In between. It's in between two things.
Oh, okay.
Why?
What does it mean? Yeah.
That's when you're like driving on those New England backcountry roads and you have a beer in your lap while driving. It's a drinking and driving reference.
Oh,
tweener.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Like
Yeah.
this kid's show is a tweener. What?
That's
so I said we
hilarious.
gotta make a show about that, their hope or something. I don't know.
Oh boy.
When in not from AV Club, the desire to get through the entire series immediately to discover the brothers' ultimate fate will likely result in your kid's first binge watch.
Aw.
I do feel like there should be a version of this where it's just the entire show with maybe just like chapter breaks, like just
I
not
agree.
actual
I
breaks, but just
agree.
showing the slide for the episode.
I agree.
Yeah, I know. I love the outro theme as well and the intro theme, but yeah, I could do with just those because also those little coin things are spoilers for each episode. Did you realize?
No, I gotta tell
They
you, I was
changed.
not like rapidly trying to look at those.
Oh,
Again,
Yeah,
if
no,
I
I
went
didn't
back,
know.
I'm sure I would.
I'm gonna try not to nerd out, but yeah, you'll notice that they're like there's the whole show has its like series of kind of coins or whatever, and then they're always missing on the episode you're at, and then it gives you a close up of that coin. I keep calling coins. I don't know if that's what it is, but coin face, which is some kind of relation to the episode.
Interesting.
Sorry. Continue.
I've got two more reviews. Tasha Robinson from Polygon. It's simultaneously kooky and solemn, haunting and extremely silly. The animation is startlingly lovely.
Fair.
And lastly, Emily St. James from Vox. While Over the Garden Wall only rarely offers actually scary creatures, its core story is unnerving in a way that will hang with you.
Okay.
The series was created by Patrick McHale and Katie Krenz, who have also worked on Infinity Train, Star Trek Lower Decks, Family Guy, The Powerpuff Girls, Steven Universe, and Adventure Time.
All right.
Okay.
It won 2 Emmys for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation and Outstanding Animated Program.
Sweet.
Wow.
And stars Elijah Wood as Wirt, who you may know from Lord of the Rings, Happy Feet, and Flipper. I don't know why I went with Flipper, but Flipper was the third thing I went with for Elijah Wood.
Okay.
Did you guys not grow up watching Flipper a lot? Just me?
A lot.
I just remember having that VHS. No? Okay.
Yeah, you wanted to watch it all the time. I remember that.
Are you making that up? Did I really?
No, because we'd go to your house and you'd be like, "You want to watch a movie?" And I'd be like, "Okay." And I'd be like, "I always wanted to watch like, whatever, like Jumanji or something like that, like a movie I didn't have." And you'd be like, "We could watch Flipper." And I was like, "I don't want to watch Flipper." That was like Dylan's go-to. We could watch Flipper.
If Gav's ever coming over to like actually record an episode live again, I'm just gonna be like, "Guess what, bitch? We're watching Flipper."
Wait, you guys haven't covered Flipper for the show though, have you?
No, not yet. That's next episode.
Yeah.
Nice.
Stars Colin Dean as Gregory, who you may also know from. You don't know him from these things because he's in like two. He's a child from Doki, The Loud House, and Adventure Time, but he's a little kid. Like,
yeah,
Elijah Wood has a young sounding voice, and then you hear this kid as Gregory, and you're like, "Oh no, that's an actual child."
Actual child, right? Yeah,
and he's amazing, amazing.
He's great, just great. Melanie Linsky as Beatrice, who you may know from Castle Rock, Yellow Jackets, and 2.5 Men. Christopher Lloyd as the Woodsman, who you may also know as Doc Brown from Back to the Future, Clue, or from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And now we can get
more.
I'm sure there's like more Christopher Lloyd things I could have come up with. Do you guys want to hear some fun facts?
Please.
Yes.
Originally, they planned on doing 18 episodes. After the opening titles in each episode, you can hear a train horn. The boys meet the train in episode 9.
Huh.
Gregory was based on creator Patrick McHale's son.
Oh.
I've heard that.
The term garden in the show title may actually mean the land of the dead. In episode 9, the name of the graveyard that Wirt and his friends enter is called the Eternal Garden. Near the end of the episode, Wirt and Gregory are seen climbing over the garden wall.
It's so literal. Also, can we talk about that one like really cool cop, like the only cool cop maybe ever?
Oh, the one you're under arrest. Just kidding.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
I will say that would be what I would do as a cop all the time. They'd be like, hands in the air and wave like you still care. Like, I like it. It's abuse of power, but for funsies.
Yeah, yeah. No one's getting hurt by this abuse of power.
No. The tavern that we see with the highwaymen and all those characters, it's called the Dark Lantern. None of those characters ever leave since they are souls trapped in the lantern.
Whoa! I never made that connection.
Wow.
A sign, it says DL for Dark Lantern.
Oh my god.
Pottsfield, the city with the pumpkin skeleton dancers, is likely a reference to a potter's field, which is a graveyard for those who pass away but go unidentified or cannot afford a grave.
Huh.
Dylan, you're breaking my brain with this. This is stuff I didn't know.
Some of the inspirations for it were Alice in Wonderland, The Wizard of Oz, and Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
Potatoes and Molasses is a reference to the Shirley Temple song Animal Crackers in My Soup from Curly Top.
Aw.
That checks
Which-
out.
Totally unlocked a part of my brain because they played a clip when I was watching this from Shirley Temple, and I was like, Grandma made me watch this. Like, I was like, oh my God, I've seen this before. The night air killing Adelaide. There was a superstition that night air was bad for you during the time of the plague because they did not know how it spread.
Oh, interesting.
And that is all the fun facts I got. Because all the other ones I have, I think we said during it, like Quincy Endicott's gravestone or the frog. The frog was the narrator.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about that?
Yeah.
Such a
love
fun
that.
fact.
I'm
Well-
out of fun facts, guys.
Then it's verdict time, and this should be relatively quick and painless.
But before we get to that relatively quick and painless verdict time, let's do some mail first, and let's make it a little painful.
Let's make the male painful and the female painless.
That was deep.
Thank you.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
It's going to be a short mail segment. We've got a comment here on the Freaky Friday episode from the one and only Lanola Cola.
Lanola Cola.
I do just want to say real quick, I'm going to put it on Front Street. I have filed a missing persons report because Scotty Cameron did not submit something this week, so I'm very concerned for him.
You said I'm going to put it on Front Street?
Is that not a thing? Is that not hip anymore? Do the kids
I've
not
never
still say
heard that. I've never heard that, no. But
Do
I
they
will
not
say,
say
I
that
did-
in Ronkonkoma?
in Ronkonkoma. Don't blow me up. I don't live in Ronkonkoma. That's where I'm from. I did used to live on South Front Street when I lived in Farmingdale.
Putting it on South Front Street.
There we go. Thank you. That's
There
a
we
little
go.
bit more familiar to me.
Good. Okay, so
Yeah.
Lanola Cola.
R.I.P. Scotty. R.I.P. Scotty. I just want to say that. Just in
Hopefully he'll
case.
be resurrected by next week.
Yeah.
Okay, Lanola Cola on Freaky Friday. Between this film, Activia commercials, the Halloween franchise, 1981 Escape from New York, 1984's The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, 1994's True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the 1999 film Virus with Donald Sutherland, 2008's Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Which do you think would be Jamie Lee Curtis's favorite and least favorite film to be a part of? Yes, I did scroll through the Wikipedia filmography for Jamie Lee Curtis. I feel like favorite's got to be Halloween. I mean, she's did like 10 of those movies. That's got to have paid for at least a couple houses for her.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. She owes her success to that, you know?
Yeah. Least favorite, I feel like has to be. I'm thinking like either.
Wait,
Beverly
let me tell
Hills
you what
Chihuahua.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say.
You were gonna say Beverly Hills Chihuahua? Part of me wanted to
That's gotta
make
be
a
the
joke
most
about Activia commercials that it must have been a shitty job, but she kept going back. Yeah.
Very funny. But yeah, no, and that shit pays the bills. That's like half a day at work. You know what I mean?
And then it plays forever. Like those commercials were
Yeah.
on for years.
And also, it nobody is ever gonna be like, oh, that's the Activia lady. Like everybody has a connection to Jamie Lee Curtis, no matter how old you are or what you know her from. So it's not like that's gonna overshadow her. You know what I mean?
Although I do want to know if you're listening to this and you know somebody who's like really young and like grew up just old enough to like remember those Activia commercials and didn't grow up with, you know, any of this other shit we're talking about. Do they think of her first as Yogurt Lady?
Let me
Is there
text
someone out
my
there?
brother. Let me
Yes.
text my brother.
Ask him if he thinks of Jamie Lee Curtis as, oh, that Yogurt Lady, or has he seen Halloween already and he's like, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Let me text him.
All right, I will keep reading this comment then. And yes, Phineas and Ferb is S tier.
Yes.
While I was not as hardcore of a Disney Channel viewer versus Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, I can recognize that Phineas and Ferb is among the best Disney Channel original shows. I don't think that's a deep, like, I don't think Disney Channel's got it as good as the other two do. I'm just saying. Yeah, Disney Channel is, again, as the kids say, Disney Channel mid. And mid
Yeah.
is bad.
But not Phineas and Ferb.
No, Phineas and Ferb is apparently S tier. Apparently, I got to get on this shit.
What is S tier?
Super
tier?
It's just the best.
Special.
It's like if you're ranking
tier?
things, S is like special. Yes, so it's like F, D, C, B, A, and that S is at the top.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Oh! I have an answer from my brother. I said, as someone who was 17 years old, what do you associate Jamie Lee Curtis with? Like, what do you know her from?
Okay.
He said, I think she was on Game Grumps once. What is Game Grumps?
I have no clue what that is. That's something I'm too old to know about, I think.
Yeah.
Is that a YouTube channel? What is that?
It is. It's playing Super Mario Party with Jamie Lee Curtis.
What the fuck is that? Wait, that's worse than the yogurt commercial. What
Look
is
at
that?
It's
a
I
YouTube?
don't know. Yeah, it's a YouTube.
Oh, that sounds old. That's not good.
It's one of the YouTubes. Hold on, I'm trying to open it really quick. It has 1.7 million views. Game Grumps. Okay, so let's see. Okay, it's an hour long.
It's an hour long.
If you want, or just roll. No, I was never into mushrooms. Yeah, you were. No, Tom.
What is this? We're just listening to someone else's video?
They're playing. They're
playing Mario
but
Party?
it's obviously Jamie Lee Curtis. Like I hear her talking.
You can't even see her?
No, it's just the audio feed and the game screen. I mean, I'll scroll a little bit to see if we can see her, but I doubt it. But it's definitely her.
That is wild.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Crazy. Okay. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, I guess I'll continue now that I've been very disappointed by your brother. Also cousin.
Listen, he's 17, so I wonder if I just don't think he would know the Activia. You know what's really funny? When we watch TV, because we don't have cable, we watch like the on demand and they have the automated commercials. We get a lot of the like medical commercials, like the like Entyvio, Skyrizi, Biktarvy. You know what I'm talking about?
Which
like all
doesn't
the medications.
Skyrizi sound like it's going to be a slang term soon?
Yeah,
like he hasn't just had the Riz, he's got the Skyrizi. Like
yes, 100%.
Sorry, go on.
So the Entyvio jingle is very unoriginal, and it goes like this: Entyvio, 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 right? And like we sing it to each other all the time. Yes, but now I've started to change it to Activia, Activia, Activia. So that's what I think of when I think of Jamie Lee Curtis as the Activia woman. I think Activia, Activia, Activia.
That's just so low effort, though. Like, if a jingle is done right, it's a banger. Like O'Reilly's and Wayfair, those get stuck in my head.
What's O'Reilly's?
O'Reilly's auto parts. Ow!
Oh wow! See, I like Ozempic has one now, which like is taking it a little far, I think. But it goes Ozempic.
Oh, you know, it's from the song, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great, and I'm like, fuck yeah, shoot me up, let's go.
That works well enough, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Entyvio. And Entyvio's the commercial where the woman is sitting on the toilet. No matter where she is, she's sitting on a toilet. And she always has that face like she's sitting on a toilet, you know?
Oh, I've seen this commercial once because I was like, what is happening here? Because even when she got to a bathroom, she like was getting up off a toilet. I was like, what does she need to go to a bathroom for? She's been sitting on a toilet this entire fucking time.
I know. Her car seat is a toilet. The seat in the restaurant is a toilet.
Which
the seat
car
in her
seat
doctor's office is a toilet.
Not the worst idea.
Not the worst idea. That would have saved me a lot of heartache.
Imagine how efficient you could be on road trips.
Oh my God, you'd never have to stop. I used to do personal training out of my car. I was in my car all day and I would stop and like have to use the Starbucks bathroom. If I could have just been in my car, I'd have made more money.
Yeah. Although we need another pipe for exhaust, I guess.
Well, how do they do it in an airplane?
What do you mean?
Like, where does all the bathroom contents go in the airplane?
I feel like what Joe Dirt taught me was that it gets shot out as a tiny meteorite to poop.
No, it's got to go into like a tank.
I assume so.
Yeah, so the car could have one, and you just got to. It's like in
same thing they do with an RV.
An RV, yeah. I'm thinking of Christmas Vacation. Shitter's full.
I've never seen it, Cab.
That's coming up soon.
It has to come up soon.
Oh, I have one more thing to say about Christmas before we move on. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Corey and I went to go pick out a Christmas tree. And the thing about New York City is that if you buy a fake tree, which is arguably like the better way to go, you have to store it all year. And we don't have like unlimited storage. So I'm like, fuck that. So we were going to buy a real tree. And I was so excited. We have like a beautiful living room with a lot of space. And we were going to get like a 5-foot tree. These motherfuckers told us it was going to cost $150 American, cash only. And I was like, for a fucking tree that you got out of the ground that God grew, you're going to charge me $150 and I have to use cash for something that's going to be in my apartment, making a giant mess. And by the way, is a fire hazard for 30 days. Fuck you.
It's cheaper for the fake one.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get to reuse it.
Mhm.
But also like, I guess worse for the environment. I don't know. But also then I
How
gotta
can it be
fucking put
worse
it
for
in
the
a closet.
environment than every year chopping down more trees?
I'm not really sure. I'm just going based on what I've been told. Can you believe that? Can you believe how much money that is for a fucking tree that they just like found in the woods and chopped down? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Meanwhile,
And
you can get a decent electric menorah for like $15.
I know. And that's the thing. And I was like joking around with my clients this morning and I was like, the kicker is I'm Jewish. I don't really even give a shit about the Christmas tree. I just really want the decoration. I think it looks nice. Like, and this is what they're charging? Come on.
I also always think of that movie, The Hebrew Hammer, when the little Jewish boy is sneaking in a Christmas tree and his parents look and he goes, "It's a Hanukkah bush."
Oh my God. That was Gog and Pop called it a Hanukkah bush.
Yeah, it's a Hanukkah bush.
Yeah, it is a Hanukkah bush. Anyway. So we don't have a tree and I really don't want to spend $150, but also like every day that goes by, we're one day closer to Christmas, one day closer to throwing the tree away. And the price, like if it got like a little cheaper every day, I'd be like, all right, let's wait a week and get it and whatever. But I'm like, it's like the price per day is becoming higher. You know what I mean?
And the trees are only getting shittier. You're gonna Gab, on December 23rd, you're gonna spend $400 on a 2-foot tall piece of shit. That's what's gonna happen here.
I know. You know it and I know it, and it's still gonna happen anyway. Oh, Faye. All right. What else do we have?
Let's get back on the. We still didn't finish Little Cola's comment, so let's finish that up.
Okay.
Where was I? Phineas and Ferb, S tier. What I was surprised about that show is that it began in 2007. I always thought it began by 2010 at the latest, since it fits well with the 2010s lineup of amazing shows that were airing on Disney. Also, the lead singer for Bowling for Soup did the theme, and I appreciate that for my early 2000s nostalgia.
Yeah, amen. Agreed. And also, I think it hit its stride in closer to like 2009, which is why we associate it with the 2010s.
I will say, what's like my favorite person who's not like a TV jingle person, like actual musician doing a TV song?
Who?
Well, not of all time, but like of a kid's show recently is Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy does the Spidey and His Amazing Friends theme song, and it's adorable. I love it.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Send it to me.
Okay, I will. But it's
Thank you.
Every time I have to like do the hand motions and make the thwip thwip noise, like as I'm listening to it, I'm like, Spidey and His Amazing thwip thwip.
That's dope.
You gotta do it.
Of course, you have to.
We have an email here from Connor about Freaky Friday.
Okay. Greetings,
hey,
Connor.
Resident Lindsay Lohan Stan here. I emailed you once before about Georgia Rule, and I was so happy when I saw the Freaky Friday episode. I have to add that Dylan was right. We can just stop there. Connor, perfect email. No notes. True Lies is one of Jamie Lee's best performances in films. Freaky Friday is 100% a film to watch before you die, and I would add The Parent Trap to that list for sure.
Oh, yeah.
One of Lindsay's most underrated films is Labor Pains, and I'm not sure I would call it a film to watch before you die, but it is really crazy and fun. Has Gab seen that one?
Only once, but yes, I have. But I don't remember it. I would be willing to watch it again.
What is it?
I think she fakes being pregnant so she can't get fired.
Wait, what? Why was she getting fired for not being pregnant?
No. I think she is going to get fired, and so she pretends to be pregnant because you can't fire a pregnant woman. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess.
Yeah.
Is that a get out of jail free card?
Well, I think it's like you would be within your right to claim that they fired you because you're pregnant, and they would have a hard time proving it. So for like discriminatory purposes, it's hard for them to fire you.
A young woman pretends to be pregnant in order to avoid being fired from her job. When that gets her special treatment by everyone involved in her life, she tries to keep up the lie for 9 months.
I cannot believe I remembered that. I haven't seen that movie when did it come out? 2006?
Sorry, I had it right here. 2009.
Okay, so how many years ago was that?
14
I
years
don't
ago.
even. That's crazy. I watched it one time, like in my friend's basement 14 years ago, and I fucking remembered the plot.
I never even heard of it.
I just feel like I don't get enough credit for how brilliant I am. And I would just like to put that out there. Like I could use some more flowers.
You know, Gab, not only are you brilliant, but you're also so humble, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Somebody has to.
Let me finish Connor's email. Anyway, still love the podcast. Hope to see a Mean Girls or Parent Trap episode soon. Connor.
Did you see the Mean Girls movie musical they're making? Did we talk about this?
Yes, I think we briefly addressed them doing musicals. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I'm not going to watch it, but somebody will. I think that's what I said last time too.
Yeah, nobody asked for it, but since it's here, I might as well oblige.
Yeah, I do think we both would probably say Mean Girls is a movie before you die, but maybe we'll have to do it at some point.
I mean, I could recite that movie I could recite it backwards.
I feel like I could probably quote a lot of that movie. The Parent Trap, though, I don't remember well. I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
It's really good. I think Corey and I were on vacation once, and it was on like in the hotel, and I was like, wow, I forgot what a great movie this is, but I don't remember. But it's good.
So maybe we'll have to do that.
Yeah. It's on my list.
It is. And I don't really remember it. So maybe it's worth getting to at some point.
All right. Well,
all right. I think we can get back to Brian and get back to the verdicts for Over the Garden Wall.
Yay.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Brian, as our guest, you should go first with your verdict, which I think would be very obvious.
Just to be succinct, cartoons are awful and you should never watch this. It's not worth it. Don't get a tattoo. Don't buy the vinyl of the soundtrack. Like, just give it up. It's terrible.
Brian, stop scraping that tattoo off your arm. It's not worth it.
Yeah, no, of course. I love it. I think everybody should watch it, of any age group and any belief structure or whatever. Just go out and see the show.
Yeah.
Gab, who's going next? Me or you?
I'll go. I know it's a shock. I'm sure Keen Machine is shaking in his boots, but I loved it. I'm really looking forward to another watch. I don't think I hate cartoons. I think I hate things that are so not rooted in reality that it's hard for me to follow them. I definitely missed a large chunk of what this is about. I feel very enlightened. I'm looking forward to watching it again, but I'm enamored. I loved it. A 10 out of 10. Can't wait to watch it again.
Welcome to the dark side.
Thank you.
I'm very shocked to say, because I did not see this being how this would go. I definitely liked it the least of the three of us. I certainly didn't dislike it. I thought it was very good. I really appreciate the fact that, one, it got stuck in my head. Because like I said, I was humming potatoes and molasses all day long.
Yep.
Two, that it was an enjoyable experience just textually, and then the subtext enhanced my enjoyment of it, because like that's the way I want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna say that it's a mini series to watch before you die.
Yeah. Watch it, whatever you want to call it, watch it before you die. Put it on the list of things to do.
It's the length of a movie. You have time.
Yeah.
It sounds like a long commitment. It's not a miniseries like American Horror Story is a miniseries, which still grinds my gears if we're talking about things, because that's not a miniseries. It's the same people working on every season. It's not cool.
Yeah.
They're just stealing Emmys from people who make miniseries. But I digress. Over the Garden Wall, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Watch it just for Greg. It's a miniseries to watch before you die, just for that little kid being adorable.
Yeah.
And then
amazing.
Watch it again after that. It might be a miniseries to watch 2 times before you die.
Yeah.
Or more.
I'll give you that.
Sweet.
Yeah. That was so easy.
I'm happy to hear you guys say that. Like, I didn't know. When I talked to Dylan about it and he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I hope they like it.
It can be devastating when you don't love it. Or when you love it and other people don't. You're just like, I would never be able to watch what I feel is like my Over the Garden Wall with somebody else, because I just spend the whole time like, Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you get it? So I can understand the anxiety of coming on here and feeling like you don't know which way it's going to go. But yeah, I thought it was wonderful and I can't recommend it enough. I'm looking forward to another watch.
Which is why I do love our last guest, Alex, pointing out, he was like, the fact that you make me then defend my thing that I think is We Watch Before You Die, that you're like, this is your final chance to tell us why it is.
Yeah. Closing argument now.
That's like one of my favorite things that guests has brought up. That was like, I love the concept of you making me come on here and then being like, please.
I applaud
so
you both,
true.
though. I think in times when the times that you disagree on the podcast, I appreciate both of your tenacities in the things that you love about it and the things that you hate about it. And yeah,
Thank you.
I don't think that this would have changed. It wouldn't have changed my life if you guys didn't like it, because I think I've probably met someone who doesn't like it. But I'm glad to have you guys on my side.
Well,
I
thank
definitely
you.
think I loved it as much as you two. Like, I feel like Gab's going to rewatch it the moment we stop recording.
No, God, no. But Corey and I have talked about like doing nothing on Christmas. And I'm like, I would totally rewatch that on Christmas, like in my pajamas, like with a nice cup of hot chocolate that doesn't have melatonin in it, but a lot of whipped cream on top,
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm
Wow.
excited. Wow.
And yet somehow the thing is not a movie to watch before you die, but okay.
Shut up, Dylan. All right. Well, guys, a huge thank you to Brian for coming on. This was such an enjoyable episode. It was so enjoyable to watch. I'm looking forward to watching it again. You are wonderful. Brian, please plug yourself. Where can people find you? Where can they listen to you? All the things.
Yeah, if you are interested in hearing a guy who's obsessed with the DC animated universe and a guy who has almost no experience with it, you can find my podcast or my co-host's podcast. I don't know, Dylan, however you want to frame that. Jump on the Batwagon, any place you get podcasts. And if you want to say hi, I'm not too hard to find on social media, but that's, those are some plugs.
Brian is the primary host of Jump on the Batwagon.
Yes. Well, without him, there would be none. So he is the primary
That's true.
host
He's
as
the
far as I'm
jumper.
concerned. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
What's good is the Batwagon if no one's jumping on it. Dylan, plug us quickly, please.
I mean, you already found us, but like, if you want to send us an email, movieswatchbeforeyoudie@gmail.com, or if you want to send us a voice note, whatever you call it, anchor.fm/movies to watch, but nobody uses that. You could also just send the voicemail at movieswatchbeforeyoudie@gmail.com. Also, we are part of the Hall of Pods network, so you can find our great podcasting friends in the link tree below, and you can find all our other places you can listen to us at the link tree below. I think I covered it, Gab.
I think you did. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Brian, thank you for coming on. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, I'm really excited to watch this again. Thank you for bringing it into our reality.
My work here is done.
Goodbye, Gregory. And please don't call me old lady.
Yes, sir, young man.